Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today's Thursday, September 19, 2019. We do appreciate your attendance. Start out with, I need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett, seconded by Commissioner Nix. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved. We are out of executive session. We'll get into this meeting. First off, we'll start with a roll call. We're all here except for Commissioner Gaines, and I would ask that you keep him and his family in your prayers. His wife's father passed away this past week, and so he's up in Kentucky with the family. So remember them in your prayers. We'll move on to our opening presentations. First up, we have recognition of Boy Scout Troop 422 and Blake Wood, Eagle Scout Project, Senior Services Director Dawn Pruitt. Dawn.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. It is with honor tonight that I would like to introduce and welcome our Boy Scout Troop 422 and Blake Wood. About a year ago, Blake came to me with a project for his Eagle Scout of doing something in front of the Senior Center and adding a Little Lindy Library. And if you know, we have several of these throughout the county. I think there's one at Rock Creek, there's one up here at the church, they're scattered throughout the county. So he worked a long time on this project, and thankfully it came to fruition a couple of Saturdays ago. At 9 o'clock in the morning, it was when it was getting very, very hot. Am I already timed out? Next. But he had a lot of help from the troop and from support from his friends and family. And I wanted him to come tonight and recognize him and go through the slides, and I'll show you this real brief. So this is the troop and the leaders starting that morning at Veterans right in front of the Senior Center. And Blake built this project at home. And he worked to design it so that it matches the color scheme of the building.
I noticed that.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
And it matched really good, so we're excited about that. And they also added some plants to the area and some rock work. There they are working. And a bench. And this is the group that came that day. Great group of young guys. And it's already got some books in it. So we would like to encourage the public and any of you that the top shelf is novels and more of it on the adult line, and the bottom shelf is for students and kids of all ages that we put them at the lower level, and a bench out there if they want to sit and enjoy it. And there's Mr. Blake Wood that we're so proud of. So at this time, I would like to ask Blake and his troop to come up. To present Blake with a certificate of recognition to the Margie Weaver Dawson County Senior Services, and also the troop that maybe y'all will have to post that somewhere. So if we can we get down and do a picture real quick, please? And this is a great group.
You take out that?
Thank you, Blake. Thank you. And I would like to encourage any of the public, if you want to put books in the donation, and also if there's anybody else, they have several projects that they're looking for something to do, so just give them a call. Thanks.
Thanks, Dawn. All right. Our other opening presentation is Development Authority of Dawson County update. Chairman Brian Trapman. Brian.
Good evening. Thank you,
for the opportunity to catch up with you and bring everyone up to speed about the exciting things that are going on with the Development Authority and economic development in our community. What we'll just touch on, I'm sure you've got a copy of this in front of you, but as always, as we dive into this, again, thank you for your time, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. Obviously, we appreciate you guys' partnership.
Do we have a copy?
Should be able to see it.
But I'm in a hard copy. Okay, I got it.
We can send you one, or I'm sure Kristen can.
That's okay, that's okay.
So again, always let this please be conversational. Let's enjoy the time, obviously manage it as efficiently as we can in respect to everything else that I know you have going on this evening. So what we'll cover, we'll catch everybody up on what we went through with our most recent August board meeting with the Development Authority. We will bring you up to speed with the Appalachian Regional Commission grant. There is not too much exciting news there just yet, but we'll keep you up to speed with where we are. We have been working through a process of rebranding some of what we do, particularly around the logo for the Development Authority, so we'll share what that final product looks like for you and with you. We'll talk through our deliverables and the annual operating plan, where we stand this date and our commitment to deliverables to the County Commission. And then finally, just lay out where we're headed. And again, throughout this entire conversation, please let this be informative and conversational. So the most recent Development Authority meeting in August, we passed a resolution supporting BTD's expansion, something that we've all seen the statistics, and we're excited to bring new business as new business comes into the community. But statistically, most job growth comes from our existing businesses, and BTD is a great example of that. Without going into all the details, again, I know you've been exposed to that, and we are just as excited as we are about the opportunity, the job growth, the wage growth, the investment in the community, and then being a quality employer in the community. Our board stepped forward and passed unanimously a resolution simply supporting their efforts in the process. We also adopted the revised logo for the Development Authority that we're going to share a little bit later in this presentation, but that was passed formally through the Development Authority. We also, as we have moved forward in our conversation with the services agreement with the county, in reviewing it, and we'll have an opportunity for deeper conversation in a later slide around this, the Development Authority Board approved moving forward with that pending legal review, and we'll catch everybody up with where we are in that process. And then we received updates on the Ad Hoc Workforce Development Task Force and the ARC grant. Again, nothing material there, but just want to let you know what we're talking about, and we're happy to, we will be sharing copies of the minutes once they're developed. The ARC grant update. This is an exciting opportunity for us. As you know, it's an all-in grant, 50-50 of $100,000. We were expecting a decision in the summer. Looks like we're drifting a little bit into fall. All indicators are that it's moving in a positive direction for the Development Authority. We'll be excited to share the news once we have news to share, but I'm going to press pause and I'm going to put Betsy on the spot. Is there any additional information other than what we've already updated the county on?
Just it continues to be in process, so it's not dead. We've gotten questions back and forth. Brian and I have had to fill out some internal federal grant type stuff, so we feel like all of that's positive that they're moving that process forward. The questions, federal year end is September 30th, so I would expect us to know shortly if it's going to be funded for we're applying for next year's funds. So.
And several of our deliverables that we've committed to the commissioner are bundled into this ARC grant process. If for some reason we find out that that's not a success, we will regroup and come back with a proposal on how we manage to do that. I know that it's incredibly small font up there. I'll consider that in our future presentations as well, and I apologize. But broadly speaking, the ARC grant funding objectives are going to include recommendations for the future placement of infrastructure, plans for industrial, commercial, and retail marketing, recommendations for formalizing incentive packages for retail, commercial, and industrial development, recommendations for the placement and location of future industrial and commercial use, plans for housing options, which is why we have our ad hoc workforce group going on right now so that we can begin laying the groundwork for that. Identification of existing gaps in housing throughout the community, identification of public and private partnership opportunities and investment, identification of open space and plans for acquisition and development of additional open space, and plans for community engagement in all projects. Again, not all of us have committed those to memory. I just read those to you from the slide, but we do provide those to you, and we're excited about the opportunity that this grant may provide for us should we be successful. So with the Development Authority of Dawson County, as we have progressed into a new day and how we're operating and how we're partnering in the community, we had pressed pause and took a step back at how we're presenting ourselves beyond the community and as an organization. So the previous logo itself, which we're all familiar with, and is based on the Scotty Dog format of the county. When we went through the process of developing collateral, of color scheming for that collateral development, matching colors is it may sound very difficult. The printability of the logo as we had it was very difficult to replicate. And within the Development Authority, we did not actually have an original copy of that logo. We did not have a JPEG or a vector file that we could use to produce additional quality collateral. We quite literally were copying it off our own website and pasting it into documents. From a professional perspective, that's not where we wanted to be. And so we presented this logo here that we believe captures all elements of transportation, waterways, the mountains within our community. It was prepared by Davis Marketing Company. We're excited about it. New logo for a new day. And so we wanted to present that to you. It was approved about 2 to 3 weeks ago, so you're seeing it as quickly as it's moving through the Development Authority. In terms of the 2019 plan of work that we have committed to you in terms of delivering new industrial site development, that is tied up with the ARC grant. Existing industrial park improvements, I'm not going to walk you through that, but Betsy has been actively involved in a lot of that. She's been working with a variety of county employees and remediating various issues that have popped up. In terms of the funding stream recommendations, that is something that we committed to deliver to you by December 31st. Of course, we're well in advance of that. We have the report completed, and we're actually going to discuss it later in this presentation. We've talked through branding, existing industry engagement, workforce development, strategic engagement. All of those things are we've spoken about before, so I won't necessarily rehash them here. But to let you know, these are things that there are multiple workflows. We're parallel thinking throughout this entire year to get things done in order to maintain our commitment to the county. So one of the recommendations that we initiated earlier this year as a part of our assessment of potential funding streams, we had legal counsel come in and propose to us a variety of options to think about how to fund the Development Authority itself. And the culmination of that recommendation, that recommendation was to enter into a multi-year services agreement with the county, tie it to a fractional mill, and then create a situation where there's long-term stability from a funding perspective with the Development Authority while we begin positioning ourselves for independent funding. That is the ultimate goal of everyone on the Development Authority. I know that's the ultimate goal of the county as well. But we need to walk before we run, and this is an intermediate step. It is a multi-year services agreement that is severable based on performance, particularly on the end of the Development Authority. It is strongly in favor of the county the way that it has been designed and worded. The Development Authority funding itself would no longer be a year-to-year scenario that tied to a fractional mill. So in our view, that creates a risk-based funding model for the Development Authority, where if we do our job for the community, bring in additional investment, particularly commercial investment, the county or the Development Authority may be rewarded as part of that. Or if we fail to do that and fail to support diversified development in the community, we may see that show up in the tax base as well. It does codify the Development Authority's accountability to the county and to all of our stakeholders, and it allows all of our partners to focus ultimately on the long-term gain of economic development. The ARC grant process, we're focused on getting to yes now, but it becomes a multi-year implementation once we have that in place. So that's the piece that I look forward to having our eye on in the long term. It was approved by the Development Authority unanimously, pending county legal review and feedback. And we say that there is a services agreement that has been developed. We have shared it with County Council. County Council has redlined that. There was nothing within that materially that would, from the Development Authority's perspective, prohibit us from moving forward. We have sent that back to our legal counsel just to make sure that, not Brian Chapman's interpretation, but a professional interpretation aligns with that. I don't want to speak out of turn if the county attorney wants to weigh in on that as well.
That's fine.
Okay. But we're excited about it, and we will be coming back in October for a more formal conversation and a working session to make sure that we work through this appropriately, but we want to let you know where we are so far. But the red line for that, I believe it was earlier this week, and we immediately turned to our council to make sure that we continue things moving forward. There's not a placeholder slide here. So I'm going to step back before we we'll go ahead and do here what we're covering because we're excited to make an announcement. So here's what we've covered. The Development Authority is making solid progress towards our December 31st deliverables to our partners, particularly additional activities and conversations that are supplementing that work. The ARC grant continues, and we are excited about achieving a resolution there so that we can move forward. We've developed and adopted a new logo that's being incorporated into our marketing collateral that should speed and improve the quality of what we produce. And then we are working with the county on a multi-year services agreement between both of our councils. I'm going to press pause here and just, I know I've been speaking quite a bit, but as you know, one of the big focuses of certainly the county, but also the Development Authority with the relocation program has been backfilling the Kroger space. You know that Christy and Betsy and others in the community have been working aggressively to get that space fully filled. We do have a special announcement this evening. Things just happened to work out that as we were coming in here, we were able to introduce you to two wonderful individuals, Corey and Christina Stallnacher. I'm going to step away and turn it over to I'm going to let y'all come up and speak. Okay, so they are, you want me to turn this anymore? I thought, are we good? Okay, cool. I don't want to steal their thunder. So I'm very excited. Why don't y'all come forward and I'm happy to introduce Corey and Christina to you, and they're going to bring you up to speed with what is happening in the Kroger space.
Now they can come up, we don't need this one coming up. That's trouble right there.
First of all, thank you guys for your time and letting us be here this evening. Being that we are from Dawson County originally, this is our hometown, it was very important when we started putting a plan together of owning a business and starting a business. It was important that it was here in Dawson County. So this is my wife Christina. We spent the last 12 months working tirelessly with a franchise system known as Launch Trampoline Parks. There are only 2 in the state of Georgia currently. There are 30 nationwide. It's a franchise system based out of Warwick, Rhode Island. And we will be taking 30,000 square feet of the former Kroger box as our new location. It's the system is partnered with a former NFL Hall of Famer, Ty Law, with the New England Patriots. And he was the founder, Rob Arnold, put together a plan that created a family-focused environment that we can have a business that we can come in as a franchisee and partner with that franchisor and have something that provides something that our kids in this county don't currently have. Somewhere safe to go, something they can do in the community that's fun, and gives us an opportunity to partner with other businesses around the community and with the school system, local churches. So we're super excited. At this point right now, we have been super blessed. Actually, one of our partners over here, Mr. Michael Walker with Brand Real Estate, orchestrated just tirelessly to make this deal happen. As much as the franchise system looks at a lot of things when it comes to where they let us go, and we had to fight really hard to get back into Dawson County and for them to allow us to be here. So we're just super excited about the opportunity. And so what am I missing?
Nothing, we're just honored. We wanted you guys to be the first to know that we are coming. We wanted to honor you guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Sounds great. When is do you have opening?
So we wanted to present to you guys tonight because the actual first press release from our PR firm goes out tomorrow. So we wanted you guys to know before it goes public that, hey, this is coming. We're finalizing plans. We'll go to plan review. Hopefully we're in construction by the final quarter for it, wrapping up here in 2019 with a goal of being open in Q1 2020. So our goal is to be open by spring break. We want to have somewhere for all the kids to go to our goal have that.
It looks like a lot of fun. You let me try it out.
Do y'all have any questions? Do you have any questions for us?
No, I think it's a
Thank you.
great
Thank you.
addition to our community. I can speak for my grandchildren, they love it. They've actually been before, and so it'll be something they'll be saying, Papa, let's go there every day. So thank y'all.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alnaki, appreciate that very much. So certainly when the community speaks, we seek to listen and respond. And the Alnaki's investment, of course, is a great example of just a public-private partnership we have. So thank you all for coming out this evening. Very excited about your investment in the community. So as always, I know this is exciting news. I know my 10-year-old and my 7-year-old, as soon as they hear this, will be asking when is it going to be ready. But at the same time, more broadly, how can we help as a development authority? I want to invite an opportunity to take any comments or questions.
Questions for Brian? Right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for the update.
Thanks for what y'all are doing. All right. Next up, I would ask everyone to please stand for a brief invocation and pledge. If you would bow your heads, please. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another day and for the many blessings of life. We ask for knowledge and wisdom as we carry out the business of this great county. Anything that's accomplished, we give you the honor and glory. In Christ's name, we do ask and pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I would ask that if there's actually a seat, I would let everybody please sit down in a chair, please. The fire marshal would require us to have everyone sitting as long as there's chairs available to sit in. So if everybody would take a seat. Thank you very much. Right. Is there any announcement? Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. First up, we have the minutes of the work session held on September 5th, 2019. Are there any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Nix.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. Those are approved 3-0. Next up, we have the minutes of the voting session held on September the 5th, 2019. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nix. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And those are approved 3-0. Next up, we have approval of the agenda. I do have one change to the agenda. I'd like to add FY 2020 Legacy Link contract for nutrition program services addendum number 1 as item number 7 under new business. Is there a motion with that one change?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Nix.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that agenda is approved with that one addition, 3-0. We'll move on into zoning. Go over the rules by which the zoning process will be carried out. The planning director will present the application and recommendation of the planning commission. Then we will hear from the applicant. Then I will open that hearing. We'll hear from those who are in favor of the application. We'll hear from those who are opposed to the application. Each person wishing to speak will be allotted 3 minutes per our zoning guidelines. Anyone who speaks will need to sign in and give us your name and address. Also, if you've donated $250 or more to any candidate, you will need to fill out a form stating so, and I have those forms here. So, we'll start out with ZA 1912. Jane Butterworth requests the rezoning of tax map parcel 037-037 from RA Residential Agriculture to RSR Residential Sub-Rural, and that's off Holcomb Road. James.
Thank you, Chairman. What Ms. Butterworth is looking to do is to rezone 10.03 acres with the proposed use of giving her child 4 of those acres. Like I said, like you said, the property is located at 105 Holcomb Road. It is under ZA application 1912. No major comments were sent back by any of the other county. In our planning analysis, we determined that it did not meet the comprehensive plan, and because it was the area for that area is zoned for residential agriculture. At this time, I'll answer any additional questions that you may have.
How many acres is it exactly?
10 acres.
No, how much is she wanting to give the child? Is she here?
Yeah.
The applicant is here.
Yeah. How much are you wanting it? 4. Can I ask you why it's 4 acres? It's because you give it to the other one, or what?
Yes, 2 years ago I gave my daughter 4 acres. Since then the interpretation was changed and they said it had to be 5 acres with that
Yes.
zoning. So I would like to give an equal portion to the other child.
Is this a way to circumvent our 5-acre ordinance?
Right
That's
now,
what I'm-
as residential agriculture, in order to create a subdivision, you have to have a minimum of 5-acre lots. Yes. So in order to give her child 4 acres, she has to rezone the property for a small density.
Are you keeping 6, or are you gonna give it to
No, there's only 2 children, so I'll be keeping 6.
If I remember reading in the RA zoning, it does state in there that obviously with planning commission approval and BOC approval, there is some discretion allowed in that particular zoning in a case like this.
The way it is interpreted is a subdivision of the property of less than 5 acres in residential agriculture is prohibited. But I don't believe there's anything in there that states that any type of variance could be granted. There are special cases given in our subdivision regulations, but those are superseded by our land use resolution.
Other questions for James?
How did you know to do this?
We
From RA to
basically-
RSR?
We had the land survey for the 4 acres, not knowing that the interpretation of the rules had changed. So when we filed to have it recorded at the courthouse, we were told it had to be 5 acres. And when we said, can we appeal this was the option presented to us to have it rezoned.
Other questions for James?
What's the definition of a subdivision? How many homes?
Our definition of a subdivision is dividing one lot into 2 buildable parcels.
So a subdivision can be 2 houses.
2 houses, yes, sir.
I just wonder if this is what people are gonna do to get around our 5-acre ordinance. That's my concern about this.
This is the only course of action that our planning department takes, is to say, if you want going to create a subdivision of less than 5 acre lots, your option is to rezone the property into a higher density zoning classification.
Other questions for James? Thank you, sir. We may have some more in a minute. Is the applicant present? Come on up and tell us what you'd like to do.
Hi, thank you for your time. My name is Jan Butterworth. I live at 105 Fulton Road. And like I said, we had previously given my daughter 4 acres before this rule was interpreted to be 5 acres. And we'd like to give my son an equal amount. And that's why we're here today, to try to say, can we just have this rezoned?
Questions of the applicant?
How many years ago was it when you did the other 4 acres?
It's been probably about 2.5 years.
Was it on this same 10 acres?
Right, it was currently on 14.3,
Oh, okay.
and we gave her the 4.
Okay.
So it was approved then by our planning department? Was approved then by our planning department to pull out 4 acres?
Yes, it
And
was
you didn't have
recorded.
the 5 acre thing?
Well, that was because of the interpretation, that's why we went
Whoever's
through all
interpret-
this.
okay,
We've
whoever's
had different
interpreting it.
directors with different interpretations. When was it that you did the other 4 acres?
2.5 years?
About 2.5 years ago. Maybe 3, it's been fairly recent, so we were very surprised when we, actually had it surveyed and took it to be recorded.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
found
we did have hearings, and matter of fact, we even did an extra, because of this. Because we wanted people to be aware of it. There was just the problem of interpretation of it, so you got caught up in that.
It caught us by surprise, yes, ma'am.
I'm
Go
finished.
ahead.
So, you still got 10 acres.
Yeah.
You got 14, so you gave 4.
Right,
And you want to go give the other child 4, you're 10.
right.
Can you give them 5, you're 10?
I'm sorry?
Are you doing a survey? Can they do that, James?
We want it to be even.
I know, but I'm just,
So, we're really not entertaining the idea of giving 5. So it's a real dilemma for us.
Other questions of the applicant? Thank you, ma'am. We may have some more later.
Thank
Board,
you.
can I make a comment? to
Yes, sir.
the board made a call recently, we brought some other issue to the board's attention a month or so ago with the language change to this, but which was, this is the same use that we were talking about, where you would have a gifted property, that would not really follow a subdivision regulation, but was gifted to your family or what have you. So I just wanted to bring the board's attention to that there was discussion on that before. But we need to look at that now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. I will open this hearing on ZA 1912. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. What is the pleasure of the board?
This is quite a dilemma. Quite a dilemma, but I don't wanna open up the floodgates. And I understand it's family, I understand that, and I know you wanna treat them equally. But I hate to set a precedent and then everybody else will circumvent the ordinance and will defeat what we were trying to do. So based on that, I make a motion to deny this rezoning.
We have a motion for denial by Commissioner Fawcett. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Nix. Discussion. Discussion. Any discussion?
Well, I've stated my reasons, and like I said, it was very hard, it's a very hard thing to do, but if we make ordinances and continue to make exceptions, I don't even know why we do ordinances. So that's my thinking on it, and I don't want people to say, well, oh, we got RA and we can rezone it to RSR, and then you'll be doing exactly what we were trying to prevent. So that's my reasoning. It's very difficult. I wrestle with this, but that's my reasoning behind it.
Right. Any further discussion? Have a motion and a second. Please vote. I'm gonna have to figure out how, so I can vote, I guess.
Sorry, 1 second.
Okay, can everyone vote again, please? Thank you.
And that denial is approved 3-1. We move on to ZA 1913. Jim King, on behalf of Charles Turner, requests the rezoning of tax map parcel TMP 107-319-007 from CPCD, Commercial Plan Community Development, to Commercial Highway Business. James.
Thank you, Chairman. As you can see, Jim King is here on behalf of ZA 1913, which the property is CPCD looking to go to CHB, which is Commercial Highway Business, for the proposed use of a used car lot. The size of the property is approximately 4.3 acres, and it is on the corner of Highway 400 and Blue Ridge Parkway. On September 19th, this went before the Board of Commissioners, or the Planning Commission. August 20th, it went before the Planning Commission and was recommended approval 4-0 with very little discussion. Given that it was previously CPCD and then it was rezoned, or there was a update to the comprehensive plan development, this portion of the property was actually not included in that development. The Planning Department recommended to Jim King and his client that they rezone to CHB for this use, and this use would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan. Once again, no significant comments were returned from any department, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Jameson?
Remind me of the acreage.
It is 4.3.
And help me with the location.
It is
What is
directly,
it next to?
it's directly across the street from the, is it Dawson Fine Lines? If you're heading off, if you're going 400, as soon as you hit,
South on the right?
it will be, if you're heading north, it'll be on the right.
It's at the county line.
It's right at the county
On the
line.
left, the one down on
Going south?
400. Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions for Jameson?
Is it vacant now?
It's currently vacant.
Are there trees or anything?
It had been previously graded, so there were little trees that were there.
Just, okay. So it had been graded before?
Yes.
And this is a used car lot?
And the proposed use is a used car lot.
Do you think put any stipulations?
The planning board did not recommend any stipulations.
future land use plan has this as CHB?
Yes, sir.
Do we actually know there will be a used car lot there, or what else could they do if it's rezoned to CHB?
But if it's rezoned to CHB with no stipulations, it could potentially be anything that falls under the CHB category.
Well, that's what I know, so we don't know if this will be a car lot.
But we'll talk with the applicant about that in a minute.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Any other questions for James? Thanks, sir. We may have some more later. Is the applicant present? Come up and tell us what you'd like to do.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jim King, 416 Overlook Circle, Dawsonville, Georgia. I'm here tonight representing Mr. Turner on this endeavor. Mr. Turner bought this piece of property, I believe it was in 2006. It was right before the Great Depression, when everything was thriving, and I believe he paid, I think it was $1.2 or $1.4 million for it. He bought Mr. Turner is in the car business, and that is the reason he bought the lot. During the downturn, he chose not to build at that time, as all of us would. And he recently came back and decided he wanted to move to go on and build this new corporate facility there. And when he did, we found out that whenever his parcel was zoned in 2004, I believe, along with that whole parcel, was like 62 acres there, CPCD. And if you remember, a couple of years ago, we came before you with the remainder of that parcel for the Richmond Homes development with the medical office and assisted living and all that stuff. Well, Mr. Turner had already purchased that property, so that corner was left out. So when he got ready to start drawing plans for his new facility, we found out that because it was originally part of that CPCD, and we changed the use, we came back in for the rest of the property, did not change the use on that property, that he had to go back before and get the property rezoned again, excuse me. And so that's the reason we're here. He just wants to do what he's always planned on doing that property. He feels like his rights were taken away without, without him being notified or without him having to without him doing anything. And so he's come back in to rezone it to CHB in order to build this car sales facility.
Questions of the applicant?
Does he have other places, other locations?
Yes, ma'am. He's currently on Cleveland Highway, right, 129, right before you get into Cleveland, near Jackie Jones.
Is he here?
He is not. I'm representing him. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think there'll actually be a car lot here?
Yes, ma'am. That's his plan.
Okay. Well, we hear plans, and then the plans get rezoned, and then they do something else,
Yes, ma'am.
under the category,
Yes,
so.
ma'am.
And what can Jameson CHB, what can be put?
All your commercial stuff falls under that.
Very wide number of things. Should be a list.
The future land use plan has it at CHB, so.
Yeah, I know. I'm just curious,
It is.
because I don't know what else.
And it does fall under the 400 corridor guidelines.
Yes.
So you've got a whole list of things, the brick and stacked stone, the low level lighting,
Okay.
interparcel access, there's a whole, maybe y'all are aware, well aware of those.
Mhm.
Jim, have you drawn the design?
Beg pardon?
Have you drawn the design?
No, ma'am. That's when we found out, he had asked us to begin drawing, and then he found out, he had to go through the rezoning process, so we stopped, and here we are.
Other questions of the applicant? Thanks, sir. We may have some more later. Right, so I'll open this hearing on ZA 1913. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve CPCD, that development to CHB.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Nix,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion.
Can we add a stipulation to your
Yeah.
motion? I just want to make sure that they shall follow the 400 guideline corridor, because I want to get it on the minutes and on the stipulation on the approval. We've had some in the past that didn't know they had to go by it, or didn't
Well, he
Didn't remember.
said, we just won't remind.
didn't remember they had to go by it.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that.
All right, so
Is that intended to be an amendment? I mean, it is a zoning ordinance requirement, correct?
you
Could I
use
add-
that as an amendment? No, I mean, you can make an amendment to that, add that as
So
a,
we had a motion from Commissioner Nix, and were you the second, Commissioner Satterfield?
no,
Julie made the second, so we would need to,
you can do an amendment. You want to make that as an amendment?
Make it as an amendment.
okay, then we're gonna need to vote on the,
We'll do,
Motion
I need a
first.
second first on that
yeah,
amendment.
second on the amendment.
I'll second the amendment.
All right, so we'll vote on the amendment first. The amendment is to add the language that they follow the 400 guidelines, which is a requirement in that area anyway, but we want to make sure that that is done. So is there, so we have a motion and a second on that, so we're voting first on the amendment, just the amendment. All right, so please vote. And that amendment is approved 3-0. Now we'll go back to the original motion, which was approval of the zoning change from CPCD to commercial highway business for ZA 1913. Any other discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 3-0. We'll move on to ZA 1914. Miles, Hanford, and Talent LLC request the rezoning of tax map parcel L05-040, L05-041, and L05-097 from residential sub-rural and commercial highway business to CHB, commercial highway business. And this property is located off of Toto Creek Road. James.
Chairman, before we move forward with this, I believe the applicant is here, and they are wishing for this situation.
We will address that after the hearing. We're going to go proceed with the hearing.
Proceed with the hearing, yes, sir. All right, so Miles Hanford Talent LLC is presented the application to the planning department for ZA 1914 to rezone from RSR, 3 properties, 2 of them which are RSR, 1 of them CHB already, to 1 larger CHB property in order to construct a boat storage facility. The property is located on the northeast corner of Price Road and Toto Creek Park Road. And on August 20th, this went for the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission does not have a recommendation for this property. There was a motion for approval and a second, but another commissioner voted against, and the chairman abstained. So there is no recommendation for this property from our planning commission. As I said before, there's 3 different parcels. One of the parcels on the corner contains a mobile home currently. The other parcel that is actually on Toto Creek has 1 residential structure on it, has 1 home, and the other parcel is a CHB parcel. It was rezoned in 1999, for the use of a restaurant. The very next year, in 2000, there was a variance application which allowed for a boat storage facility. So originally, in 1999, there was a stipulation that said that there would not be a boat storage facility on this property. And then the very next year, there was a variance granted to allow that boat storage facility under certain conditions. This property also does not conform to the future land use map in our comprehensive plan. If you take into consideration that, current zonings are not taken into consideration when we do our comprehensive plan. So that's why you have a property that's already zoned commercial that is in an area that is not appropriate for that comprehensive plan. So the analysis from staff, we recommended the five stipulations that were brought forth into discussions with the applicant, and I'll let them read those. But with the motion that was carried through with the planning commission, they recommended two additional stipulations that I would like to read out loud. One was a minimum 6-foot tall fence, vinyl coated chain link fence, and the other one was an additional 40-foot buffer between the development and the resident on the east side of the property. I will entertain any questions from the board.
So one of the lots is CHB, and that's lot 40, I believe.
Yes, sir.
The other two lots are residential, or is that lakefront residential, or just RSR? RSR. Okay, and the future land use plan does not conform to, especially on the two lots that are not CHB, to the request. Future land use plan does not conform to that request on the two lots that are residential.
That is correct.
Other questions for James? Thank you, sir. We may have some more later. The applicant present. Come on up and tell us what you'd like to do.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Ethan Underwood. I'm an attorney with the firm of Miles Hansford and Talent, and we're representing Mr. Stuart Scruggs. Mr. Scruggs is here this evening, and he would be the developer if this zoning is approved. I think what we wanted to emphasize from the get-go is there are a lot of unattractive boat storage facilities. And I'm afraid that jades a lot of people's perception of what that application would look like. And Mr. Scruggs is hoping to set a new standard for Dawson County so that these are service amenities. Now, we will be discussing the comprehensive plan, but that's exactly what we're proposing this to be. This is a lakeside residential designation comprehensive plan, and logically, if you're lakeside residential, you're likely to have boats. You're likely to have RVs and recreational vehicles. Where will they be stored? And we think this provides protection for your vision for this part of the county, for the growth of this part of the county, but also provides an amenity. As stated, I have a little trouble with the
Let me restart 1 second.
okay. But as stated, this is 3 tracts of land, 2 of which are already, or 2 acres of which is already zoned to the CHB category. It was zoned with particular conditions, but they're fairly light. There's not a whole lot of restrictions there. And in meeting with the neighbors, what we wanted to emphasize is we think this application will provide more protection of particularly Mrs. Dill's privacy to the east. In fact, you can see the 3 tracts. The residential tract that adjoins to the east, 3/4 of that common boundary line is already zoned commercial. And all that's required is a 25-foot building setback and a 10-foot landscape strip. No buffering, no additional landscaping, not much separation. As you can see also, there were some zoning conditions that were added when the boat storage facility, which is currently allowed on the red tract of property. It's simply lighting, again, 25-foot setback, landscape strip. They're very nominal. If you can go next.
It's turning on my screen, but not the big one.
Okay. just very shortly, so you're aware of the area, this shows a video, some drone footage in the area. One of the things also that has been struggled with is just put it out there, there's a lot of petty crime that occurs in this. There in this area. There are folks who have reported bicycles stolen, personal property stolen from their property, because there's not many folks out there. Maybe that sounds counterintuitive, but the best way to provide security is actually bring more people and more activity to an area, so you've got more eyeballs that prevent those kind of things. So this aerial shows a portion of the property. In fact, the commercially zoned property is what has already been graded out pursuant to previously issued permits. But it's very close to the lake. You can see the loading area there at the end of Toto Creek Park. So having a boat storage facility very close to this would serve as an amenity for the existing residents and also for folks who are supposed to be moving here in compliance with the comprehensive plan of saying more lake residential. As stated, when new developments come, and there's water out here, so the minimum lot size would be 3/4 acres. New developments that come in, I give you a 99% chance that they're gonna have subdivision covenants that say no boats out in the driveway and no RVs. So to facilitate your comprehensive plan, we put forward to you that you need to have some limited areas that serve as an amenity to bring those folks out there. And we think what better place to put that than frankly where we need to clean up an old zoning that's not particularly good. Again, stated it's lakefront residential. We submit that it could be deemed to conform, maybe not in zoning category, but at least as an ancillary use to the order to facilitate the proposal. Now, in meeting with the neighbors, we appreciate their time. They have expressed that they're concerned about the typical things you see in new developments. What kind of traffic is this going to yield? How is this going to affect their privacy, their quality of life? And Mr. Scruggs is adamant that he wants to protect his neighbors' property values. And in fact, we have proposed, if the board sees fit, we appreciate you having a hearing, we're happy to postpone the decision tonight to meet more with the neighbors. And if you all would like to participate in those meetings with the neighbors to try to address concerns that they have, we have absolutely no qualms with that. But what we did here, again, traffic, most of the traffic for a boat storage facility is going to come between Memorial Day and Labor Day. That's when, and typically it's on the weekends. So during the off season, you have fishermen that will come in, but it's a very low traffic type of use. And as far as lighting goes, there are conditions that we have submitted to try to ameliorate that. Now, when we looked at the Planning Commission, this was the site plan that we had proposed. As we stated, the code only requires a 25-foot setback, but what we had proposed was a 20-foot buffer around the entire perimeter of the property. And it would be a heavily landscaped buffer. This is an artist rendering of actual plantings to scale. So based on the condition that we put forward and that the Planning Commission and the 2-to-1 vote considered, was that at the time of planting, you'd have minimum 8-foot tall evergreen trees. We laid out the species so that they will grow at full maturity to over 30 feet in height. We had spacing requirements, so we wanted to provide predictability to both the commission and to the neighbors as to what this would look like, and to screen frankly, screen the very expensive equipment being stored in there from folks going by on the road. We also proposed within this buffer area a 4-foot berm. So if you did a 2-to-1 slope, it's an 8-foot rise, 4 feet at the top to plant additional plantings, and on the interior side, you would have shrubbery, and we also proposed a vinyl coated chain link fence for security. You won't see it from the road, but it also being vinyl coated will blend in with the landscaping. Now, in meeting particularly with Mrs. Dills to the east, she expressed concern. Her property complies with the zoning code, but her structures are 10 to 15 feet off the boundary line. That's what the code calls for, but they're very close. So we acknowledge that we need to go a little above and beyond to protect her privacy. So what we have proposed along this boundary that's highlighted in blue is to go the extra mile. The Planning Commission, in what came through with the 2-to-1 vote, they said double your buffer from 20 to 40 feet. And what we've proposed is actually we'll triple the buffer. We had proposed a 20-foot undisturbed buffer next to Mrs. Dill's house. No grading, the existing trees, which are fairly tall, can stay. And on top of that, we'll do that 40-foot buffer outside of that. So you actually have 60 feet of buffering with the berm to protect their interest. Again, our folks are, Mr. Scruggs wants to be a good neighbor. Now, one of the questions that may come up was, well, is this really going to be an adequate screen? And we want you to, this is about a 30-second video. This is a video that was taken by one of the brokers showing a home with a single row of trees. We're proposing 2+ shrubbery. This is a single row of mature trees right next to a storage facility. So with adequate landscaping, this can be done properly. We submit to you that the condition that we put forward is adequate. We're happy to adjust that if you think more is necessary. But again, this is a good use for the community. It's a good use for complementing the comprehensive plan and bringing a storage facility. It's a good use for getting rid of, frankly, a weak commercial zone. And our folks are very, very adamant about trying to protect their relationship with the neighbors and to let them enjoy their property as we're asking to be able to enjoy this property. So the conditions we put forward, again, modified from the Planning Commission. We stuck with the Planning Commission recommendation. Subsection B, we added the additional language about the extra 40 feet of buffer adjacent to Ms. Dill's property. We agreed in condition number 3 that every vehicle stored on this site would have a specific numbered lot, so they're not just laying there nilly-willy and it becomes a junkyard. The outdoor lighting is limited to a 1/2-foot candle of luminescence at the boundary line in compliance with your code. And we limited agreed to limit the hours of accessibility to the public from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's probably, it's really going to be more sun up to sundown. So in the winter months, it'll be a shorter range. This is probably the extent of it during the summer. With that, we're proposing limits on, to limit the use of the property. I heard Commissioner Fawcett make a comment that what all can be done in the CHP zoning category, a lot. And so what we want to put forward to you is a condition that says this will be solely for a boat, RV, and vehicle storage facility. That's the only use that's allowed. It cleans up an open zoning. It would set a new standard for when other folks come to you and say they want to do a storage facility. And again, we feel it complements the comprehensive plan, maybe not the technical requirements of the zoning category. We think it gets you where you're trying to get to. And finally, most importantly, we want to continue to work to provide privacy to neighbors. If the commission is not comfortable tonight, we are happy to defer the decision and continue to meet with neighbors and see if there's new ideas that come up. Mr. Scruggs is quite open to that. With that, we'll reserve the remainder of the time we have left to answer questions.
Questions of the applicant?
That large parcel,
Yes, sir.
who owns that? Is that a single owner, or is that,
The one to the north?
that big, the big, or is that
I believe
core, is that core?
That's my property to the north.
The big lot?
Yes, of the 3, yes.
Other questions of the applicant?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I'll open this hearing. Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Come on up. You have 3 minutes. Give us your name and address. Your time will start after you sign in.
All right, my name is Gary Smith, and I own the property that's already zoned. I bought it to put another boat dock shop on. I got one on 53 Chesapeake Boat Docks. So that's what I originally bought the property for. And I got the permit for the boat dock shop, which I didn't mention. That's what I graded that for, is a dock shop. And I'm in favor of the property being rezoned, but in turn, I don't want to lose my zoning if they don't close. You see what I'm saying? So I need some kind of protection if they get the zoning they don't close, I retain mine.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Give us your name and your address and sign in, please, and your time will start after you've signed in.
Good evening, Tim Costley, 5929 Elliott Family Parkway, Dawsonville, Georgia. I'd like to speak in favor of the zoning. I'm the property owner to the north of the three.
Thank you. There's a few, I took the liberty and took some time to measure out and take some pictures of some nearby commercial properties. There's about 6 here, it'd be 7 including Gary's property. This is a 1 mile to the west. There's a convenience store and a car repair facility at the intersection of Harmony Church and Price Road. Also a family Dollar General right there, same area. Third property. This is a 2/10 of a mile to the east is a car repair facility. 0.8 miles to the north is a 20-acre boat storage facility repair shop. Looks pretty unsightly, but it's there, along with, the next one, please, an Easy Buy right there at the corner of 400. And right across the street, there's also a large commercial industrial site for Gainesville Welding and store, I forget the name, fabrication shop. I just wanted to point those out and say this is not an isolated area at all. The traffic count for that section of highway is about 5,000, just right on Price Road in front of the property. And these are within 2/10 to 1 mile, 2/10 of a mile to 1 mile from that particular property. Also, something I'd like to bring to the board's attention, and you're well aware this is the commercial crossroads. There's about, I think, Jameson, 15 properties or so. I counted. It's hard to see where the property lines are. There are about 15 parcels within the county that right now are not, I don't think zoned. Some of them may be, some of them may not, in the future land use plan that are set aside for what they call the commercial crossroads. I know this is not a crossroad of, say, state highways, but of course Price Road is, and then Turtle Creek is not. But I would like to kind of bring that up as a point of reference because there are other lots of corner properties within the county that are waiting and sitting and idle that are already kind of pre-approved in the future land use plan. I would argue that this piece of property may fall in within that category for consideration. You'll hear a little bit later on if the planning commission meeting is any indication of what we have tonight, maybe speaking in opposition. Some folks have spoke about maybe some lights or some noise, and I think that the developer has addressed a lot of that. And some other issues. I know this area has been delightful in the past. A lot of you may remember that area being a little bit rough. I would argue that this particular development will improve the area in the lighting and such. Lastly, as far as positives from the sale, my family and I own a Costley Family Farms. It's like we sell hydroponic lettuce and other things to school districts and that. And if it's anybody's, we're earmarking the money to improve the farm. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Favor of the application. Give us your name and your address. Your time will start once you've signed in.
My name is Cecilia. I live over here at Red Hawk Ridge. And I'm here to speak in favor of the project. As has been spoken earlier, the 2 acres of this property is already zoned of what they need. Excuse me. The other property, we've got over 580 feet on Price Road, which, being a highway on 136, would at some point in time is going to be zoned commercial. I mean, your highway properties are going to be zoned commercial because the county's map hasn't caught up to the growth of the county. Some developers are going to come in. That's why you find so many people coming through the planning board. The last meeting we went to, every issue there was a rezoning. it's just because the map's got to catch up to what's going on in the world. It's a natural use for that property, being right across the street from the entrance to the park. They have boat storage. Worked with Mr. Scruggs. He's looking to put covered boat storage in there, so covered RV storage. So you're not going to have vehicles just sitting out on the ground. The boat sales and RV sales in this area are increasing. I've run Dawsonville Future Land Use Planning Committee, and I've been down to the Corps 3 times in 3 years to see if we can get some more docks for the lake. Those that are around the lake don't want that, but years ago they built 750 miles of lakefront and decided that there'd only be so many dock permits given. Though they're not going to give any more dock permits. That's the simple truth. They are absolutely adamant about no more dock permits. So if you move into a subdivision and you have an RV and a boat, or you go buy a boat, you can't keep it there. You have to call somebody like Mr. Scruggs and say, do you have any space available? So the land use is appropriate for that location. They're willing to address whatever conditions the neighbors are looking for to sit down in the meeting, as the attorney mentioned. And what else can I say? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Okay, anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. What's your name and your address? Sign in, please, and your time will start when you're done.
My name's David Picklesheimer, 5365 Cantrell Road. I'm here speaking on behalf of my mother, Judy Dills, who lives at 173 Toto Creek Park Road. I want to first say that right off the bat that she's in opposition of the additional zoning, those other 2 parcels. And the reason is, going back from the very beginning, y'all know in 1999, this was rezoned. They rezoned it for restaurant. Of course, they didn't want, the board didn't want boat storage then, but then they came back to the variance. Then in 2016, another applicant came on the other side of her property, another 7-acre tract over there, wanted boat storage, and the planning commission and your board of commissioners unanimously denied that project. And this is the 3rd time she's come up here before y'all in reference to boat storages on Toto Creek Park. And every time the boards have been reluctant or has denied each one of those projects. And you know, and I want to tell you about the reasons why. Number one, the way that one parcel zone now, CBD, HB, whatever it is currently, it's spot zone. Everything else around, besides those 2 or 3 miles apart, it's a spot zone that was done back in 1999. She don't want to add to the spot zone in that area. It's a residential area. Anything's going to be done, we'd prefer that they build houses, just like we told the other applicant over there. As it's been mentioned by your planning department, it don't meet your future land use map, and there's no other red places on your map for future commercial in that area. Toto Creek Park's it's not even 20 foot wide. We made that mention last time. And your land development regulations, the 403C1 prohibits this use due to sounds, visual effects to the adjoining residential property. So you've got a residential property abutting a commercial. So there's another reason why you need to deny this request.
Little 4-foot berms, chain link fence, now you're saying 6-foot chain link fence is not enough for privacy. And gravel parking lot, she don't want to be eating dust all the time. This is her retirement. This is her investment. She's moved up iron, she's invested all her money into that piece of property. She loves the garden in her yard. She loves sitting by the pool, and she wants to continue to keep that peace and quiet. So she don't want to be eating dust. She don't want to hear motors and boat motors crunk up while they're working on them, or people out working on RVs. And
Time's up. Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. Give us your name and your address. Please sign in. Your time will start after you've signed in.
My name is Pat Eversole, and I live at 1466 Price Road, approximately 2 lots away from this area. I moved here in '05, and it's totally residential. Turtle Creek Park is a very quiet park, and it's a nice country road in front, which we saw in the video. I'm totally against the rezoning. I want it to remain residential. I think it would benefit if houses were put there, because I just don't think it's going to be maintained. And I'm not sure that the market will support this project. I'm nervous that I brought in these two things. I did research all the different storage units and boating units in Dawsonville. It is red dotted all over the map. So do we really need another one? I don't see, I have a feeling that if this project doesn't work, we're gonna be stuck with the aftermath of the destruction and the fencing. Now all of a sudden, our residential area with our nice quiet state park is going to be an eyesore. So I don't agree to having more storage units. They're all over the county. And I know the people down at Turtle Creek. I live there. I rode my horse there. They bring their boats in. The boats are very expensive boats. There's no issue. It's not the traffic like Nick's Bridge. Nick's Bridge is a lot of traffic with boating and stuff, with one boat ramp. Turtle Creek is a private, more fishing type of community. And I have never, in the 14 years I've lived here, I have never seen more than 6 or 7 boats on that lake, parked in that parking lot. So you're gonna tell me 6 or 7 boats are enough to support this project? I don't know anyone. I work in Chestatee a lot, in the area. The people in this area have their boats on their trailers. They aren't looking to park them anywhere. We aren't bringing in crowds from, well, Gainesville's got plenty of room, but where are the people coming from that are actually going to use the facility? How many seconds? 30. Okay. So I don't see, I asked them the last time we met for their marketing plan. Did they do research to find out if this will work? And I have never seen a marketing plan, any interviewing of people on the lake that would put the boats there. So I don't want all this destruction and all this to go on for the whole project to fail, because then we have to live with it. And I have my neighbor who couldn't be here.
Time's up, ma'am.
Huh?
Your time is up.
I have my neighbor who couldn't be here.
Time's up. You can hand
Yeah.
those to me.
She's emailed letters to you, and she copied.
Thank you.
Fine, is it the Hardiger lady?
Huh?
Is
Yes.
her name Hardiger?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close that hearing. What is the pleasure of the board?
Chairman, I make a motion to postpone this time for, we can get more information from some of the other homeowners around there.
For how long? A month?
2 hours, yeah, it'd be, yeah.
Next,
Let's make it the next. I think we can do it by the next voting session.
let's keep it on the
What day,
zoning
what
night.
day is that?
Let's try to keep it on the zoning night, which would be
Oh,
30
yeah.
days.
30
Okay,
days?
Okay.
Well, that'll be 30 days,
Well, that,
October 17th.
Postpone the decision until October 17th. Have a motion for that. Do I have a second? Motion by Commissioner Satterfield. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Nix. Discussion. I will say that it is complicated, for sure, to look at these different zoning applications. And the board looks at what our land use plan says. That's important. We created a land use plan for a reason. So we try to look at that as closely as possible, while at the same time trying to mix in people's property rights. So I think a postponement on this one is a good idea, because it gives us more time to do some more research. This one does have a history, obviously. It goes back to 1999 and 2000, when a variance was granted to make a change to that. And I can remember back when I was much younger than I am today, when there was a restaurant there. So that's my comments in reference to that. So we have a motion and a second for a postponement until October 17th.
can I make a comment?
Yes, ma'am.
These decisions are extremely difficult, and I thought I had landed on my decision. But I talked to other people, I gather more information, and I need to sift through that. As I said, it's just real difficult. Betty said it's very complicated. There's so many things. I've got notes everywhere, trying to come to decisions. So that's where I am now. I thought I had landed, but I've kind of taken off again, and so I'm just going to try to sift through the information. So.
Any other? So a motion and a second for postponement to October 17th. Hearing nothing else, please vote. And that postponement is approved 3-0.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we'll move on to public hearings. Tonight, we have a proposed county vape shop ordinance. This is the first of one hearing. And as we did with the zoning, we will allow each person who wishes to speak in reference to this public hearing 3 minutes.
Hello, Commission.
So at this time, I will open up this public hearing. Anyone here to speak on the proposed county vape shop ordinance? Come on up, sir. You can go first.
Thank you. My name is Nicholas Moore, General Counsel for one of the smoke shops here. I guess really for openers, and thank you for allowing us this public convention to speak with you about this. We received notice of this, I think, on Friday. My client is a business owner in the financial industry, also is a shop owner here, the name of which is really not important, but said, hey, check this out. The planner came in, provided some information here, which, pertaining to an ordinance. I need you to go see what this is about, or tell me whether I need to go, to this hearing and speak more about it. I think the gentleman's name is Mr. Jameson. His last name escapes me. I reached out to Mr. Jameson and said, hey, what's the nature of what's going on? He said, we'd like everybody to attend a roundtable on Monday to discuss this ordinance, and provided that ordinance. My understanding is that all of the shop owners affected by an ordinance actually did show up for that hearing, or that roundtable. And then some things were discussed in open forum, that people were able to express their ideas, the sentiments on this, and the general spirit of it, and how we can protect against, I think, what we're trying to protect against, right? Which is forge something collaborative, where we're educating each other. What are the concerns on the side of the commission and the county? And then how can the business owners address those concerns, prepare against those concerns, right? And eventually mitigate or outright eliminate these concerns. However, some things transpired that I wanted to address today. The original ordinance is different than the one before us that's, I think, put to vote this evening. And the concern I have just as an attorney is that I haven't had the ability to really synthesize this to the extent that I can prepare any advice for my client or prepare any actionable advice for the other shop owners to the extent they even retain me to do so. I'm not going to go so far as to challenge any constitutionality of it. I believe the commission is very well aware of their authority to pass these things, but I think what we're trying to accomplish today is, again, we want to collaborate. We don't want maybe presuppositions or misconceptions to inform the constituents, or to inform the commission that's going to affect the constituents. In fact, I'd even like to make a recommendation, whether now is appropriate or soon, that we maybe even put this to a referendum of some sort and see how Dawson County as a whole feels about it. But that we understand what is the spirit of this. Are we protecting a certain class of people, an age group? I think obviously there are some age restrictions in this, and we want to take those into account. I think a number of the shop owners are here tonight, and they'll speak about what provisions they've made to protect against what the concerns are. Because there's really good business here. There's really harmless business here. And there's personal responsibility that goes with each one of us, whether we're talking vape or whether we're talking cigarettes. Okay? And we know that that is a valid conversation to have. Are we proscribing vice? Are we prescribing virtue? What do we intend to do with this ordinance? I did receive a copy, the origination of which is not important, that has red lines on it. And it looks like that some things were added after the roundtable that we had. That roundtable was our opportunity to vet what we thought the ordinance was going to be. And then we have a new one that has much more restricted language in it that I think really deserves a mutual conversation, something on a neutral ground, or something that we set in the evening time where we can get together and you can ask questions, vet concerns, right? And see what we've done as a community to prepare and protect against these things, because we don't want to provision things that harm the general public. We want to work together.
Sir, your time's up. Thank you. Anyone else here to speak on the proposed county vape shop ordinance? Give us your name and your address, and please sign in. Your time will start once you've signed in.
Good evening. If I could give you guys these.
Hand to me. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Daniel Wheatley. I live at 7840 Silversmith Drive. I also own and operate the Vapors Den here in Dawsonville.
Operate what did you say?
I own and operate the Vapors Den in Dawsonville. I'm here tonight not only on behalf of myself, but on behalf of other shop owners in the county as across the state. Also on behalf of ex-smokers and adult vapers. We're all aware of the issues going on nationwide, but we're here tonight on the issues happening in this county and in our community. It's for the ban of flavors that's in this new ordinance. You'll see and hear a number of facts and statistics tonight from different people and stuff. It's all factual. It's all backed up. More than 80% of vapors use some sort of flavor in their e-liquid. If I may, out of the people in this room, how many people use a vapor product or have ever used a vapor product? Keep your hands up. Out of these people that have their hands up, how many of you use a flavored e-liquid? Keep your hands up, please. Out of these people that use a flavored e-liquid, how many of you would quit vaping and go back to some sort of combustible tobacco if you didn't have your flavor? Wow. So this proposed flavor ban would push these people back into a more harmful solution, a more harmful choice. Also, in the new ordinance that came down, there is something in there about no specialty vape shops can be operated in this county. That would mean that there's 3, possibly 4 vape shops in this county that it would force out of business. That's our business, our livelihood. Myself, I have 10 employees in my store that are all residents of this county and this community. They're tax-paying public people. There's lots of things that when we sat down on Monday that we discussed, and we came to this, as the shop owners, we came to this meeting willing to try and compromise and to find out what this was about and to try and work with you guys. We know that the underage thing is a big deal. We're the ones that scream at the door. You cannot walk into any one of these specialty vape shops without being of age. Gas stations you walk into, and there's displays up on the counter that a 5-year-old could walk in to buy a pack of bubble gum, and it's perfectly legal for them to see that. We try not to do that. We're the ones that are on the front lines trying to stop the epidemic that the media has put on this or whatever. I would like to ask that if there's a way that we can table this ordinance and somehow schedule some one-on-one meetings with you guys to educate you and inform you on what it is that we do and come to some sort of compromise so that we can continue to do business in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak on the proposed county vape shop ordinance?
My name is Bobby Lewis. I'm the owner of My Vape Shack, 240 Dawson Village Way. Been in business now since April of 2014. We have operated as what you classify as a specialty vape shop since that point in time. We also are advocates of carding customers when they come in, and currently we're servicing 1,100 customers in the Dawson County area on a monthly basis. All right. What I would like to talk to you about today is really 2 things. The first being the reason for the flavors that we have. I know it's been a lot of negative on the news, and they want to drive, they say the kids are driving to it because that's what they want. That's not why flavors were ever invented. I'll give you a quick history. When people stop smoking, the first thing that they do is they typically go to a tobacco or a mint flavor. Why do they do that? Because that's what they are accustomed to. Over a period of a month, things start happening when you start to vape rather than or tobacco harm reduction process, where you come off the cigarettes. The chemicals, the 7,000 chemicals in the cigarettes actually leave your body. You get to where you hate the taste of cigarettes, you hate the taste of tobacco, you hate the taste of the way it smells, and you're looking for something else to do. But with just 2 limited flavors, more times than not, they'll go back to smoking because they didn't have that problem when they were smoking. The chemicals told them it tasted good, they needed more, and here we go. So what we did is we developed flavors. And the reason we developed flavors is because after a month or so, people said, hey, this e-cigarette is really working. I haven't touched a cigarette in a month. I'd like to continue doing this. So we have found that by using flavors, it allows that individual to continue to vape. And what happens when you start to vape is your reduction in nicotine almost becomes natural. Your body starts telling you that we need less and less of nicotine. We have to match the nicotine level that they start with, and then they automatically we start reducing the nicotine level down until they can get to the point where they can have their choice of a very low nicotine, typically 3 is what we sell, which is 6 times less than a cigarette, or set it down and walk away from it. We have a very unique business model. We sell a customer a product and then teach them how to get rid of it, how not to use it anymore. No other business does that. But our ultimate goal is not the sale, it is the actual education and helping these people come off of the cigarettes. 30 seconds. Real quick, I do have one other thing that I'd like to add, if you guys can take a look at right quick, that I'd like to add to. It is 3367G. I'll keep it as you have it written, and then maybe add, unless the store is approved as a tobacco manufacturer and accepted such by the FDA. Basically what it says is we cannot mix in there. But I have been approved, I have been inspected by the FDA, and I'm registered as the FDA. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
not a resident of this county, but I have a lot of customers that live up here. I think I have a lot of insight to offer to this. I wrote a speech, but I don't think that it's going to be corrected. So the main thing that we want to convey is that we want to work with you. We want to, like everybody else has said, table this, schedule a meeting. I've been through this in Forsyth County already. It worked really, really well. We came up with a comprehensive plan to protect youth and also allow safe alternatives that are still available for adult smokers. One of the things I did want to mention is the T21 in there. Keeping tobacco products to 18 and raising the age of vapor products to 21 makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. Whenever you look at it, look at someone who is consuming nicotine and they have a craving. They walk into a gas station, vapor products are not available to them, they're going to purchase packed cigarettes. It's going to drive people right back into traditional smoking. Also, vaping has been proven to be better. The packets that were handed out to you previously prove that. Everything in there is cited. I strongly encourage you to look it over. I strongly encourage you to look that over, table this meeting while I look that over, and then readdress this at a later time. I think that's all I have for you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else speak on the proposed county vape shop ordinance?
Good evening, and thanks for taking our time. My name's James Hyman. I own a shop here as well in Dawsonville. I also own a shop in Forsyth County. So I was aware of the original regulations that were put into Forsyth County, and they seem to be working very well. Everybody who's spoken so far, are better speakers than me, and also have basically told everything that I was going to state. So I'm not going to bore you with anything. I just wanted to mention, we do understand that there is a problem with underage vaping. And I think the knowledge that other people can get as to what devices they're using and why they're doing this would help everybody understand this better. And I think by tabling this, where we can actually show you devices, the things that kids are doing in school, hiding them in their sleeves, doing these crazy things. It's not even stuff we really sell. Everything these gentlemen have explained to you is what we sell. We get people off cigarettes. I've been doing this now. I've been in Dawsonville for over 5 years, been in Swanee for 6 years. We get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people off cigarettes. And I'm one myself. I was a 25-year smoker. I've never been healthier. I've tried every single way to quit smoking cigarettes. And vaping was the only thing that worked. I'm going to back them again on the same thing. Tobacco to start, it's fine. When your taste buds change, tobacco is awful. You cannot run a vape shop and keep people off cigarettes by just offering a tobacco flavor. Once you're off cigarettes, you realize it is awful. So we just all need to sit down and talk about the problems that the kids have right now compared to what's really going on. They're just two different methodologies of vaping. And to add to that, these kids that I hear 15, 16, 17, 14 even, they're not getting them from our shops. We are prisons, basically. We're not gas stations. You have to, just to walk in our store, you have to be 18. So they're getting it from other places. We know there was just recently, 30 seconds, I'm going to give you a quick story about where I think these are all coming from. Not long ago, I think it was last week or a week before that, Cherokee County did a sting where they sent out officers and did some underage investigation. Of all those shops that received citations, 16 out of 18 citations were convenience stores and gas stations. This is where these small little devices that kids are using are coming from. This is not our main part of business. We need flavors and normal vaping to stay in business.
Anyone else here to speak on the proposed county vape shop ordinance? Run up and give us your name and your address. Time will start after you sign in.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to talk tonight. My name is Dieter Sellers. I'm a duly elected representative of the Georgia Smoke-Free Association. I represent 260,000 vapors in the state of Georgia alone. They consume all of my time. Smoking is the most deadly preventable disease in the United States of America. During the last hour, 55 Americans died in the United States thanks to smoking. 1,300 per day, 480,000 per year. Vaping helps to stop that. Vaping was invented for a smoker looking for a smarter and better alternative. Vaping is 95% safer than smoking. We're not saying it's totally safe. We're saying that it's safer than smoking, and that's a critical distinction. Even the commissioner of the FDA, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, said that if every smoker in the United States converted to vaping, there would be a net health benefit across the United States. Vape shops, especially like the ones represented here today, are dedicated to one thing and one thing only: tobacco harm reduction. We cannot say the same about customers who go to the gas stations and convenience stores who are only looking for a sale, in many cases an underage sale. Vape shops, while not perfect, have the best record of compliance across this state. You just heard the statistics from Cherokee County alone. 16 out of 18 were gas stations and convenience stores. When you walk into a vape shop, if you look like you are under 27 years of age, you better have an ID on you or you're walking out. That's just a fact. Let's talk about the 10-year death rate. Smoking, 4,800,000 in 10 years. Driving, 345,954. Alcohol, 88,000. Opioids, 70,237. THC cartridges, 7. Vaping, 0. We talk about the kids. Well, let's talk about my kids. My kids deserve to have their father, and my grandkids deserve to have their grandfather around. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What's your name and your address? Your time will sign after you sign it.
My name is Logan McQueen. I live at Owen Smallwood Road in Gainesville, Georgia. I know that's all in Dawson County, but I do work here in Dawson County. I work here at AMH Collision. It's a body shop in Dawson County. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Arthur Neal Head. That's my boss. Vaping is one of those things that it's great. It's healthy.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm gonna try not to sound nervous. My name is Patricia Chastain, and I own a vape shop in Kennesaw, Georgia. The reason I'm here today is because I went to DC a couple of years ago, and every year when my peers come back from DC, we find more and more representatives that just don't understand the intention and the actual science behind what is happening in the vape industry. I myself was a 20-year smoker. I was a pack-a-day smoker. I started at 16 years old, and if somebody had handed me a vape at 16, I wouldn't have been smoking at 35. There are 4 ingredients in e-liquids. One of those is flavor. The other 3 are nicotine, which is found in eggplants, tomatoes, and other foods that you eat every day. In small amounts, it has health benefits. Vegetable glycerin and propylene glycol are in our products that we use every single day. You have undoubtedly touched something with the vegetable glycerin in it today, because it's in all kinds of foods. You'll find it in all the ingredients across the grocery stores. I did that one day. I was very curious. Those things come together to make something that's similar to smoking cigarettes. However, it has 4,000 to 7,000 less harmful toxins and chemicals in it. I was on a pathway to death, and I actually developed an allergy not long ago to antibiotics, and that's why I finally had to make the switch for good. I tried everything. I spent countless hours and money to try to quit smoking cigarettes, and it didn't matter how long I quit. As soon as I smoked my next one, I was a smoker again. I'm thankful, and I think that you hear people say that vaping saved their lives, and I don't think that you understand, well, I'm sorry, not you, but I don't think people understand that while it's not the prettiest thing to look at, because it looks like smoking, it's proven to be 95% less harmful by the Royal College of Physicians. In the UK, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but there are vape shops now in hospitals because they've taken a big stride in helping people understand that this is a way to reduce those tobacco-related deaths. Really quickly, what's happening right now nationwide is linked to black market THC cartridges. Do you vape those? Yes. Is that what the rest of us are vaping? No. The vitamin E acetate is what has been linked to most of the cases of death and illness. The CDC changed their stance and said, if you are a vapor who quit smoking, don't go back to smoking. If you're not a smoker, don't smoke, don't vape. That is the same message that you hear from a lot of vape shops. You will not hear that in a gas station. They don't care. They're just there to check your ID and bring you up. It may be fake, it may not be, but the violations are 90% in the way of gas stations and smoke shops and not vape shops. So I implore you to learn a little more before making this decision. There are a lot of lives that depend on it. Thank you.
My name is Joshua Blaine. I live at 7 Big Savannah Road here in Dawsonville. And I am both a father and a veteran. And when I started smoking, it was while I was in the military. When I came home, I started to be introduced into some of the original low-grade products of vaping and flipped back and forth, and that's when there were not other flavors. And statistically speaking, there is a higher chance if you're saying, well, why don't you vape a tobacco flavor? Well, why wouldn't I just go back to smoking? And then I've bought products from both Bobby's shop and Billy over here, who owns a shop in Cummings. I've been vaping for probably 6 years now, I'm in the best health of my life in regards to when I was smoking cigarettes, where I had constant bronchitis, chronic pneumonia. I mean, I've got scar tissue in my lungs thanks to cigarettes. I've not been to a doctor that's gone, by God, you vape, better quit that. And also from a parental aspect, I have a daughter who's 3. She's gonna grow up into this. It is my job as a parent to give her the proper direction on whether or not to smoke, to drink, drug usage. And I feel that this is no different than any other right that we have to make bad decisions or good decisions. It is up to parents, and if parents want to allow these children to make negative decisions and not discipline their kids and then go, oh crap, mine died. That's not the vape shop owner's fault, who is following every guideline that anyone in these counties have tossed at them. But these gas stations, I can go buy a bong. I can go buy products to smoke methamphetamines, but you're not doing anything about that. Why are you attacking the businesses that are following every guideline you have ever given them, and then going to give that freedom to one of the largest offenders of underage sales, be it tobacco or alcohol, and why not vape? Sure, let's give it to them too. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, in your own county here, how many times has the Shell gas station that's right there, 53 and 400, that used to have the Taco Bell in it, been caught with underage sales? I'm pretty sure I've seen black bags over their alcohol windows and their lotto sales at least twice in my lifetime. Yet they're still open. They're still making the same mistakes. But I've never seen an issue in his shop or his or any others that I've been in. And when I shave, I get carded, and I'm 31 years old. I can go into any gas station and buy liquor, and they're like, thanks for coming in. They're pushing the cheapest products they can as fast as they can. I don't think I've been into a vape shop that is a technical vape shop that is selling Juul or any other type of THC pod product that is designed in the issues that you see being presented in national media. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Renee Richards. I live at 161 Ottawa Court here in Dawsonville. I am also a manager for probably the very first store that ever had vaping in it. We basically have done away with most of our vape products because unlike the gas stations, we know that these guys are the experts. At the gift box, we are an 18 and older store, so we wouldn't be selling to anybody underage. You walk in my store, we ID you, but we also know these guys are the experts. We send them to their shops. When I go to the gas station, now the Juul products, the small vapes that the kids are using in school, they're in the gas stations, and even the Marlboro company, they put coupons for their vapes that are at the gas stations that none of these guys sell. The vapes that these guys sell, the kids can't carry in school. They're too big, and they're healthy for them. What's in the gas stations, it's not healthy, and it's tobacco flavored. And I'll be the first to tell you, I've tried vaping, and I start with the tobacco flavor, and guess what? I go right back to cigarettes every time. These guys sell the right products. The gas stations don't. My store, we didn't. We stopped selling. It's in their stores because they have the good products. The gas stations don't care. We care, they care. And that's all I have for you.
Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Brian McReynolds. I live at 6159 North Elm Road, Villa Rica, Georgia. I do own a vape shop. We don't want this spread across the state. Lives are at stake. I urge you guys to do the research with the materials you've been given on the internet, whatever you can do, because vaping is safer than smoking. I smoked for 33 years. I was able to quit with root beer flavored vape 9 years ago, and I feel great. My kids are glad that I did. I don't think you guys understand the ramifications of what's going on here, but the hysteria is spreading the country, and it's due to the deaths from the illegal THC cartridges made on the black market. What happens when you ban something? You get a bigger black market. Prohibition doesn't work. 1,300 people are going to die today from cigarettes. Nobody from nicotine vaping. I would ask you guys to table this, look at it, come back, revisit, work with your shop owners, whatever you need to do. But these guys at vape shops are not selling to kids. I do have the statistics on who's selling to kids. If you guys would like to know, according to the FDA, more than 15% of all Walmarts, Walgreens, Family Dollars, Kroger's, and Circle K's. More than 25% of all Shells, Chevrons, Casey's, and 7-Elevens. More than 35% of Marathons, Exxons, Sunoco's, BP's, Sickos, and Mobiles. What are they selling? On the FDA, in 2018, they said 5 brands comprising the vast majority of all illegal sales: Juul, owned by Philip Morris; Vuse, owned by R.J. Reynolds Tobacco; Martin, owned by Altria; Blue, owned by Imperial Tobacco; and Logic, owned by Japan Tobacco. So, it's the tobacco companies, and they're forcing this whole narrative, and they're trying to put us out of business over flavors. Who doesn't like flavors? You don't like candy? Blueberry, strawberry? Everybody does. I see that I've got 30 seconds, so let me just say also, beyond the scope of what's going on here, we'd like to be collaborative, that you're inviting a big legal fight as well. $2.7 million was raised in the last 2 days by the Vapor Technology Association of America, and we're going to use it. Thank you.
What's your name and your address? Please sign in. After you've signed in.
Good evening. My name is Susan Stutzman. My address is Paulding County. However, I am secretary of our GSFA, which is the Georgia Smoke-Free Association, which also makes me part of our federal group, which is the VTA, Vapor Technology Association. I literally just got on an airplane at 12:30 this afternoon, and I came here from Washington, D.C. Have not seen my family yet. This is how important this is. In hearing on what your ordinance that you're wanting to do here, I want to talk to you first and foremost. I want to find out why you're saying it's okay to smoke, but it's bad to vape. By having one as 18 tells everybody else that smoking is okay. And you've heard from everybody else, or you probably know somebody who has died from a smoking-related illness. Smoking kills. So, to try to raise the age to 21 is just a wrong message. That is my question, is what is your message? Is it the youth epidemic? Is it the headlines that are going on? Or is it just, you just don't know and we're doing a knee-jerk reaction here with a little combination of all of them? There are a couple things I want to point out. The FDA survey last year, 2018, did a survey on how teens got tobacco from. 90% social sources. only 10% was retail. We break that down here. There were 17,500 violations when the FDA did their, excuse me, I'm sorry, I am a little, I would have been more prepared and had slides, but like I said, I came in on an airplane today. In 2018, FDA did, did a sting inspection, retail inspection on 146,000 shops. 17,500 violations. That's only 12% on the national rate. Cigarettes came in at 33%, whereas e-cigs were at 19%. Georgia, we were lovely, only at 2%. Vape shops here in Georgia, they card, they ID. We were self-regulating before regulations came about. That's another thing I want to talk about too, is that we're for responsible regulation as well. That is what we've already been doing. I encourage you not to make a knee-jerk reaction and get some more research on this. I have plenty of slides. Like I said, I am fresh. I have talked to our congressmen and senators from Georgia this past week.
Time is up, ma'am.
Thank you very much for your time.
My name is Tyler Gonzalez. I'm part owner of Fair Smoke in Dawsonville. And I just want to basically bring to your attention that vaping really isn't a bad thing. It's definitely helped a lot of people get off of cigarettes. Cigarettes, when I was in high school, everybody could get cigarettes, everybody can get vapes. It's kind of, friends have friends, older brothers, people can get it no matter what. And putting a ban on vaping and stopping all the vape stores, that's really just gonna hurt people. It's just gonna make more problems and make more people get in trouble for trying to do something that they already do. And also just make more people go back to smoking cigarettes, which is harmful for them, people's families. My mom, my aunt, my grandma, they all vape now. They used to smoke cigarettes. I'm really happy about that. One of them has had cancer before and doesn't anymore. And they vape and they haven't had any problems. And I'm really thankful for that. And I feel like there's tons of other families and thousands of other people that probably feel the same way and have dealt with the same situations. And I just feel like we're only helping the community, and the ban would just hurt it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let her go first, then you can go. Come on up, man. Come on up. A little shorter than the others.
My name's Dara Alexander. I started smoking when I was 13. I smoked for 30 years. I had chronic bronchitis for 15. I started vaping 6 years ago. My first vape, I went to the gas station, cigarette store, because I was rolling my own to save money. I bought an e-cig. I said, how do you use it? They said, oh, instructions are in there. I got home, no instructions. I couldn't even feel it. Didn't know what to do with it. My daughter told me about a vape shop in Delaware. I went up there and they helped me. They showed me how to work it. They showed me how to feel it. They started me out on a nicotine level that I needed to get me off a 2-pack a day smoking habit. It's been 6 years. I'm down 1 milligram of nicotine from 24. it took 2 weeks. I stopped smoking, 30 years, 2 weeks. A few months after that, I had to get this to other people because my drive was 45 minutes to get what I needed. There was nothing available around me. 3 credit cards I maxed out to open a store. Last year, I helped 31,620 customers. This year, as of today, 24,726 customers, helping them get off the cigarettes, helping to hopefully save their lives. Nicotine levels, we usually do 0 to 24. 18 is a pack of cigarettes. Juul, your options, 30 milligrams, 50 milligrams. 18 is a pack of cigarettes. 1 pot of Juul, 30 or 50. They have no option to step down. In a vape shop, we start you where you need to be. We help you work yourself off. We want you to quit. I want you to put me out of business. As y'all know, the deaths that we keep hearing about, we're starting to call it e-joints. It makes it a little easier. It has the vitamin E acetone in it. This is an oil. Vape juice doesn't have oil in it. This oil coats your lungs, clogs your pores. You're suffocating yourself. This is not in our products. We don't sell stuff like this.
Thumbs up, man.
Thank you.
My name is Jeffrey Smith. I live at 90 Kerrigan Trail, Dawson. I'm work for a local government like y'all. Smoked cigarettes since I guess I was 15. Smoked them in school. Smoked all the way till I've got 2 daughters now. My oldest one is 13. And I wanted to quit smoking before they were born and raised. And I battled really bad with it for many years. And I actually started, I tried the gas, I don't know if it was gas station, but I got the one that was like a box or something. And then started doing my research, and I ended up going to Bobby's store and found, just did my research. I wanted to do something safer than what I was doing. My big concern is, no carcinogens in this. I mean, how many of y'all have lost somebody with cancer, secondhand smoke, and as far as, and it's just like they were saying with the flavors, to go to a flavor that is like tobacco is kind of killing the people that want to get off it. They want something different, and I don't think that's the way to go. I just hope that y'all would, making that big of a decision in your county with so many people that are putting their lives at stake and their families, that y'all really consider and take your time on your decision on this would be pretty logical to me. If y'all would definitely take your time to think about what is proposed. I don't think I got much more to say, but I just wanted y'all to know how I feel about it. I think I know it's a much better solution to what I was doing. My health was pretty bad back then. I had real big concerns with my lungs, coughing up phlegm, and ever since I've been 14 years without a cigarette, and I did everything in my possible means. I quit for a year at a time, 4 months, 3 months, and I just couldn't get past that till I ended up meeting Bobby, and I've been there ever since. My wife has quit, and I feel we're both healthier, and I just want to be there for my children when I get old. Thank you.
Let him go first, and then you can come. Come on up, sir.
Good evening, my name is Aaron Shatner from Warner Robins, Georgia. I'm here tonight to speak and give you my opinion that I oppose all flavor bans and unruly ordinances against the vaping industry. I own a vape shop in Warner Robins. I have been in operation since 2015. I love helping people with the safer alternative to tobacco. I care dearly for this industry, enough to drive here from Warner Robins. I have been vaping personally for 6 years. My health drastically improved with no negative side effects. Flavored vaping products is the only thing that worked for me and millions of others in efforts to quit smoking. I currently carry 112 flavors in my store. 3 of those flavors are tobacco flavors. The reason we don't carry many tobacco flavors is it's pretty simple. People want flavors, they like flavors, and flavors work. Most individuals do not want tobacco flavored products while trying to end an addiction to tobacco. Studies show that people who quit smoking using flavored vapor products are more successful at quitting tobacco permanently compared to those who vape tobacco flavored vapor products. In regards to raising the purchase age for vaping products, if an adult is 18 years of age can buy cigarettes and other tobacco products, a proven cancer-causing product, I believe it's ludicrous to not allow that adult to purchase a safer alternative to tobacco, such as vaping. This comes across as a discriminatory with no logic. Enforce underage laws, don't punish law-abiding adults. The Royal College of Physicians has deemed vaping 95.5 safer than smoking. Vaping in the United Kingdom, they recommend for any citizens that do smoke to vape. They urge it, they encourage it. And I think that the United States, all across the board, should look at this and adopt these principles immediately. I urge you to support your specialty vape shops within your county. Vaping is a technology and should be sold by knowledgeable professionals who offer quality products. Professionals that can relate to the customer. People shouldn't have to go to a convenience store that sells cigarettes for the vapor products and settle for subpar items. Keep in mind that flavored vaping products in vape shops are made in the United States by regulated manufacturers who create American jobs and pay tax revenue. Vaping is a movement. It's a movement that can eradicate tobacco and create better public health for our country and should be encouraged by elected officials. 480,000 people will die this year from tobacco. Not one person has died from using an electronic nicotine delivery device.
Time's up. Who's next?
You said I could get it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Hi, my name is Karen Norris. I have a shop or two out in Gwinnett County. And I know a lot of the big talk has been that we need to protect the kids. Protect the kids from what? Protect the kids from themselves. They're making these choices. The flavors aren't the bad guys. It's the kids and their choices and what they're vaping. Because vaping is a verb. It's like drinking. It's a verb. It depends on what you're vaping. These legitimate shops and shops like mine, we sell the right things. So to ban flavors from adults to protect the kids is not going to change their already unlawful behavior. It doesn't make sense. So I beg you to consider the adults, their flavors, and when children are caught red-handed vaping underage with illegal substances, they be punished appropriately. by their schools, by their parents, whomever. But we didn't do this, we didn't cause it, and we don't want it to continue. Thank you.
Good evening. All of you have been here for a little while. I can understand that. I'm guessing that you've gotten the impression that we're all kind of here for the same thing.
Give us your name.
My name is Noah Richardson, sir. I represent the majority of the shop owners here in the county, not legally, but as an advocate. We've been working all week on this ordinance. Earlier in the week on Monday, we actually worked with your planning commission, Jameson, correct? We had a great meeting. Fantastic meeting, went an hour. We looked over the ordinance, we told them what we thought was wrong, we told them how we thought we could fix it, we wanted to work with you guys. We still want to work with you guys. But less than 24 hours after that great meeting, the entire ordinance changed. Wording that would have grandfathered these great business owners in and made sure that their shops could be here to continue their tobacco harm reduction efforts was completely removed. The Vapor 21, which is what we're calling it, by the way, Dawson would be the first in Georgia to pass a Vapor 21, would remove vapor products from access for 18 to 21-year-olds, but keep tobacco products on the market. It's been pointed out multiple times that doesn't make sense. You all seem like logical people. I think you can agree with that. I would much rather, if a 19-year-old was addicted to nicotine, I would want them to have something that they can use and then dwindle down and get off of instead of smoking cigarettes every day. Now, you've heard from all these wonderful business owners, all these wonderful consumers, and you can continue to hear from them. Or we can table it, because we do want to meet with you. We want to discuss this. We've had 3 days to work on this. We would much rather be able to schedule meetings with your offices, meet with you in person. If we can answer questions, we want to do that. Come into these businesses. These are businesses in your county. We want to show you what's going on. And yes, all 4 of you are going to get ID. Because that's the way that every single person in these seats who are here to talk to you about this tonight, they're willing to use that 3 minutes. So we could be here all night, but I don't want that. I know you guys don't want that. You have other items on the agenda. So if we can work together, we want to work on this with you. We want to create helpful regulations for this county, for these businesses, and make sure they get to operate. Because the way that it's worded now, the moment this goes into effect, all those wonderful business owners in Dawson County that you spoke with tonight, they lose those businesses. Their employees lose their jobs. Their consumers lose access to something that we know for a fact is 95% less harmful. We want to meet with you. We want to discuss this. Can we get some sort of interaction? We would love to talk to you guys. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Sam LaChapelle. I live in Woodstock. I'm here to speak on behalf of all my family right here working. I smoked since I was from 12 to 30 years old. I witnessed my grandfather die at 14 years old because of tobacco-related death. Cancer runs in my family. I've tried everything. I tried cold turkey, I tried the gum. I was chewing 3-4 times as much as the recommended dose to get that satisfying nicotine. I tried Chantix, I wanted to blow my brains out. I'm also in the recovery program. With this fellowship, with these people, it helps me stay off of drugs also. We don't want children to vape at the end of the day, but they're going to. If you remove them from gas station, convenience stores, put them in shops that we ID. I'm a former shop manager. I've been in the industry since vaping for 9 years, on and off, in the industry for 3. I'm very passionate because it saved my life. I do not smoke cigarettes. I quit with cereal and coffee flavored vape products. If you get rid of this, y'all condemning multiple people to death. Is that really what the message you're sending to people, that you want us to die? Or do you want us around and living so we can be with our family and friends? That's all I got. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to share a story with you, ladies and gentlemen. I was out playing frisbee. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm John Alford. I was out playing frisbee with my daughter, and I was a smoker. And I had to stop. Had to catch my breath. I was like, let me catch my breath. And I light a cigarette. She looks at me like I'm this big. This big. So I tried Chantix, Wellbutrin, patch, gum. Nothing worked. I vape now, have for 6 years. I help people that want to be alive for their kids. She begged me not to smoke no more. You know, I'm sure these people can agree. We don't want to. Please don't take away flavors. I stopped with the Mountain Dew flavor. I'm vaping strawberry lemonade. You know, great thing for a hot day. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ryan Howard. I live in Athens, Georgia, and I also flew down here from DC with Susan to come talk to you guys. We were actually just in Doug Collins' office yesterday, so I'm not a resident of this district or county, but I am familiar with it based on just doing some research before we walked into the building yesterday. You've already heard a lot of good testimony. I don't want to stay here all night telling you guys my story, but what I will say is pretty much what we said yesterday when we were in their office. Everyone in this room, including y'all, does not want youth vaping, right? It's a concern for everyone here. I used to own vape shops in Athens, Georgia. We were right by the college. Fake IDs are a problem. It was always something we had to pay attention to. No one here wants the youth vaping, so that's one of the main issues. One of the other things, obviously, everyone here is concerned with is what's on the news. These kids that are going to hospitals because they're vaping illicit THC cartridges that are made on the black market. No one here sells those in their vape shops. Those are from the black market. It's already illegal. You know, it's causing problems everywhere. I think there was a 7th one reported while we were in DC, and it's tragic. I mean, it's an epidemic if one youth goes to the hospital from vaping illicit drugs anywhere in the world. So we know it's a concern, but the problem is if you ban vaping or ban flavored e-liquid, you haven't solved either of those problems. Juul is the #1 offender of youth access, right? You find it at a gas station. They've already removed their flavors out of the market. You ban flavors, you haven't changed anything on Juul's plate. Juul's probably right outside, not laughing, but high-fiving. Nothing's changed for them. They're gonna survive on tobacco flavoring. They already do. They removed their flavors a while ago. You ban flavored e-liquid, you haven't changed anything with the illicit cartridges because it's not a regulation problem because it's already illegal. Nothing changes. The kids can still get the illegal cartridges with THC in them. They vape them, they end up in the hospital. Everyone here's concern is the same, but we haven't solved anything. I've been to a lot of these meetings in the last year, all over the country, and it seems like everyone's looking for a solution. Your solution's different than mine, different than some of the business owners, but we all want a solution to the youth access problem and these kids that are getting sick from illicit drugs. Neither of those things come from these vape shops. Neither of those things has anything to do with flavored e-liquid. It's all concerning, we all want to educate. That's why we went to DC. That's why we went to Doug Collins' office, was to educate him. We sat there and talked to him about the flavor ban that President Trump has proposed. they have the same concern as us. We sat down and we came to an understanding that we need education, we need to be all on the same page. But if you ban flavored e-liquid, you have missed both the targets we're aiming for. We're aiming for the same targets as y'all are. We just want to just re-aim a little bit and let's get on the same page. Some people have mentioned tabling this and coming back. The research is out there. We want the same thing, but banning flavored e-liquid isn't going to accomplish it. Thank you guys.
Anyone else?
I think we're good, Commissioner.
No?
All right, one more.
My name is Deb Martin. I live at 586 Brights Way in Dawsonville. And I'm neither a smoker or a vapor, but my son is. And he is disabled, and he was able to get off cigarettes by vaping. He started, well, he smoked for 10 years, and how he got access to cigarettes as a teenager was picking them up out of butt cans at places. So nobody gave them to him. He was just picking them up out of the trash. So then he got addicted, like most kids do. And so then 5 years ago, he found vaping, was able to get off the cigarettes. He's been vaping. It smells a lot better in the house because we don't have that issue. I think it's a lot safer because he's not going to fall asleep with a cigarette in his hand. But he got off on Suicide Bunny Strawberry Cream. 5 years ago, we found a vape shop, and he has been a loyal customer there ever since. And he has found a good community that he's involved with, and being disabled for him, that's very hard. And I just don't understand why this is not being treated any differently than cigarettes would be. Cigarettes are illegal for kids. You shouldn't be smoking in a non-smoking area. I know Commissioner Satterfield, you said something about somebody vaping in front of you at a Braves game. When we've gone to places, concerts or whatever, he goes off to the smoking area and he vapes, and then he comes back. It's not an issue. I don't know why this is all getting blown out of proportion, because I would much rather see him go to a, what are you calling them, specialty vape company, where people can help him, than to buy things off the internet or wherever where we don't know the people, we don't know the companies. And he's got a lot of good information from the people that work at the companies, or the local vape shops. And I just think it shouldn't be, like I said, it shouldn't be treated any differently than smoking. It's basically the same thing. Nobody wants the kids doing it. They're gonna find a way, but we need to find a way together to work it out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. I neither derive any money.
What's your name for us, please?
I'm
Your
Wayne
name,
Mitchell.
please?
Wayne Mitchell.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I do not derive money from the vaping industry. I do not have a vape store. But I venture to say that many, if not most, of the folks in this room know me. I'm retired Director of Support Services for the Georgia Department of Transportation for some years. While that may not be relevant, per se, what will be relevant is I smoked cigarettes 46 years. Up to 3 packs a day. I'm of the age group that when I first heard about vaping, it was, I would perceive it as snake oil. Ain't gonna convince me easy. But I reached the point where I could not walk to the end of my driveway without, less than half acre, zoning, as you will, could not walk to the end of my driveway without being weeded. My son, concerned with his father dying, kept at me, convinced me. The issues of illegal THC cartridges are a totally separate problem. What I will tell you is I, like many have said, first went to tobacco-flavored vapes. Didn't work. Didn't work. Had to go. Your whole taste buds change. I soon went to, of all things, and I've never been a big strawberry fan, but I started smoking strawberry, of all things. And I still do to this day. Ladies and gentlemen, vaping works. It is a safer alternative, way safer alternative. I was diagnosed with COPD in that time frame of 3 packs. I've been tobacco-free 5 years. I have x-rays taken that show that those issues no longer exist. I implore you to accept the invitations from this group of concerned people. Keep the safer alternative available, and that is imperative that flavors stay involved. Allow these folks to sit down. And lastly, why would this old guy be so passionate? From the time I learned, I've been...
Time's up. Anyone else? Come on up.
My name is Nick Jumelies. I represent the Vape Loft. We have 11 stores throughout the Southeast. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my composure. I got into this business to help people, and what this ban is going to do is destroy everything that I and all my co-owners in this business have done to help these people stop a harmful habit. It's going to destroy it. It's going to wipe it out. And it makes me really sad. Sorry. It makes me really sad that people pass judgment on things that they don't understand. And we try to explain, but a lot of people are closed-minded and they don't want to listen. The problem here is not adults. The problem is kids. And if we can keep this stuff out of the hands of children without banning it for adults, we are going to make every effort to do that. That's really all I have to say. But I just ask you guys to take all this into consideration, and it's really hard for me to see this kind of stuff happen with our government. We're supposed to be the country that stands out against everybody else from doing things the wrong way. And I feel like we aren't doing that right now. People aren't listening to the citizens. They're just out for their own agendas. And I don't think that you guys are like that, because I look at you and I see a group of intelligent people. Because I see in your eyes that you are actually listening to the people in this room. And I thank you for that. Thank you.
I've been a part of this industry for the last 4 years. I lost my father 4 years ago to terminal brain and lung cancer, caused by the carcinogens and the cigarettes that he smoked for 40 years. My father was my best friend. He never got to see me get married. He'll never meet my children. He didn't get to see any of my sisters get married. He met one grandchild, one. And I would never wish the anger and the hurt that I feel on anybody to lose a parent before they can see their child get married or to meet their grandchildren. My bosses were the people that transitioned my father from smoking to vaping 4 years ago. He stopped smoking with a Fruity Pebble flavor. I've been a part of this industry for 4 years. Since the day I turned 18 years old, I've committed my life to transitioning smokers. This has been a major part of my life, and if I see this industry crumble, I don't know where I'll be next.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Last call.
Juan Torado, and
Please
I think, oh, sorry. I'm just very passionate about this industry, and from all the testimonies that we've heard today, the narrative is pretty much the same. We all love flavors, and we all quit smoking with flavors. I smoked for 21 years. I worked for Delta Airlines, and I walked in the shop, and as my friend Wayne Mitchell stated earlier, I thought it was snake oil. I was like, what is this? I didn't think it was going to work for me, but you know, I started off at a high NIC level, and I worked my way down. And the health benefits for me were working around planes and being able to just walk up a flight of stairs or go across my driveway and check my mail without, you know, huffing and puffing was really, really beneficial to me. And I'm not big on numbers and all that, so I'm here because I'm passionate for these business owners and all the friends that I've made throughout, you know, being in this industry, and I just want to preserve the vape industry and shops. I'm more concerned about them and thousands upon thousands of, you know, jobs that could potentially be lost if we lose everything. Because big tobacco just will not accept the fact that we're here to help people and convert smokers to non-smokers. So we're all passionate, and we hope to continue to do this and keep fighting, and we'll keep fighting to the very end. I'm getting emotional, sorry. But thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Can I go again?
No. No, not again. Anyone else?
She deal for minutes to me?
No.
I'm not sorry about minutes, so I'm really.
No.
Do you guys have any questions of us?
Yeah.
I mean, realistically.
We'll wait till we close the hearing on that one.
Oh, okay.
Anyone else? Last chance. Okay. Seeing none, I'll close this hearing. Let me say this. I do appreciate all the people who have come tonight to voice their concerns and to bring information to this board in reference to vaping. And I will say this too, just speaking for myself personally, that I speak for themselves, that I'm not against tabling this thing to get more information. Because there's been a lot of information brought forth tonight that I think needs to be investigated. So the discussion is now with the board, and what would your pleasure be?
Jim, can I ask Jameson?
Yes, go ahead.
James, could you step up, please? I know we heard a lot about, I guess you met with the business owners in Dawson County.
Yes, sir.
And how many shop owners did you meet with in Dawson County?
I believe most of them are here. It was four shop owners.
And and then the ordinance that y'all went over is not the one we are talking about tonight.
No, sir, the ordinance was the one that was not the one that we were talking about.
So you got it Monday,
I did.
and then when did they get the ordinance that we got tonight?
I believe it's when it was posted, by Kristen.
It was Tuesday, I believe, about 4:15 in the afternoon on Tuesday.
That's, thank you, that's all.
Well, I'd just like to say that I've been really educated. I think there's like 3 issues. I think one of the reasons the young people, the teenagers, all the deaths, that's one of the issues. You know, I appreciate your comments because yes, every one of us is listening to you. It's tired, I'm hungry the whole night. But yes, we are listening because we care. And I'm hearing people, you know, people that these are your jobs. You've invested bukus of money in these companies to get them started. That's an issue. And I want to learn more. I think we need to do a better job of checking into what we need to do here. So my recommendation to this board is going to be that we table this. We go back to the drawing
You
board.
making that in the form of a motion?
I'm making that in the form of a motion, and we go back and we try to spend some more time because this is important. I mean, we need to do a better job in coming up with a plan here.
So I have a motion to table. Hold on. I have a motion to table by Ms. Nix. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Satterfield. Discussion.
We open for discussion?
Yes.
I'd like for, I don't know if we need to make an amendment to your motion, but I'd like Jameson to once again sit down with the owners.
Well, that's part of this. Look, going forward, that's fine. We don't have time. Learning more information. That's part of learning more information. Any other? No. No. Any other information from the board? A motion and a second to table the vaping ordinance to find out more information to be brought back to the board, whether that's through meetings, whether that's through educating ourselves through learning more about it, internet, the information that we've been provided tonight, having an opportunity to look at that. I think everybody's got the same idea. We want to protect the kids. And as commissioners, it is our job, our number one job, is the protection of the citizens of Dawson County. And however we have to do that is what we want to do. And there's no desire on the board to destroy a company or a business, but we need all the facts. I'm very proud to see that you're willing to work with us to give us those facts so that the board can make a very educated decision, because that's the kind of decisions that we want to make. Ones that we have all the facts, all the knowledge there is about that. I have some concerns, obviously, in reference to what I've heard tonight, in reference to convenience store sales and things of that, and I don't know if those are addressed. So that concerns me greatly, that when we make a decision on this, that it is a complex, complete decision that addresses every facet that's out there in reference to protecting our kids. I think that's the goal. I don't think anyone on this board wants to get in the business of what an adult decides to do. But we do have an obligation as a commission to protect the kids of this county, and that's what we will try to eventually do. And with your help, hopefully we can come to an agreement that will do that and make sure that we've done everything humanly possible to make sure that the kids are protected.
Cheers to that.
So, We have a motion and a second to table for further information. No further discussion, please vote. And that is table, friends. I will say, we have some other business to take care of, but if you are ready to leave, I'll give you a couple of minutes to exit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, please sign in. Please sign in.
Everybody gone home to eat?
I'm very quick for you. I'm here for the land use next.
You got less than
All right, we'll call this meeting back to order. Call this meeting back to order. We'll proceed on. Next up, we have unfinished business. Land use resolution fee schedule update that was tabled from the September 5th, 2019 voting session following the second of two public hearings on this item. Jameson brought that forward. There were a couple of options that were provided to the board in reference to those fees. And I think there was a couple of questions maybe that was asked of Jameson. You got any further information to provide?
Yes, Chairman, I provided both options to you in the form of an ordinance update. The only addition we had was in reference to Commissioner Gaines' request to allow the county manager or a designee to take requests for the, let me say this correctly, it is the special event permit.
Right.
Those reoccurring events.
Yes.
And that are for nonprofit organizations. That I have the county manager or their designee would have the authority to waive that fee right off the bat because of the nonprofit nature of the event. That was added as Exhibit D to the ordinance update.
And you said it'd be the county manager's decision?
All of the ordinances, all of the decisions are the county manager's decisions in our business license ordinance of the county manager or their designee, which has generally been the planning director historically. That said it correctly.
Other information needed from Jameson in reference to the land use resolution fee schedule update. If you remember, you have two options. Option one, option two. After looking at both options and looking at our surrounding counties, I would make a recommendation to the board that we strongly consider option one, which is keeps us closer to our neighbors at a particular time, and then obviously at other times we could revisit if we so desire. So what is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to go with option one.
Motion by Commissioner Nix to adopt option one of the land use resolution fee schedule update. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 3-0. We'll move on to the new business. First up, we have consideration of funding requests for fire hydrants. Chief Thompson brought that to us a couple of weeks ago. As you know, Etowah is putting in some new line, and we had agreed at one point, every time they did that, that we would discuss whether we were willing to put hydrants in those new lines. And we all know that it's obviously cheaper to do it when they're putting the line in than it is after the fact. And so he had brought that. What was the dollar amount on that, Chief Thompson?
Mr. Chairman, I think it was about 27,000. I don't have it with me. I do.
27,000. That's what I was thinking.
It was 3,000 something piece, but if we didn't, it was 5,000.
Yes.
No brainer.
So this will come out of fund balance, if you so desire to approve.
I think there was
I think there's 60.
I think Ms. Vicky recommended possibly the county manager's contingency.
Did she? That's right, she did. If we had enough left in that.
Didn't know.
Okay, true.
I just wondered why my thing was come out.
I think we didn't have any splosh money left to do it with.
I thought it was 60,000.
What was the question? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
60,000.
That's in contingency fund.
Yeah.
Come on up, David.
When we complete Fire Station 8, we will have exhausted the portion that's all allocated to fire EMS from the SPLOST service.
Thanks.
With the addition of the equipment that's been purchased and all the other stuff, not just the fire.
Okay. All right, any other information needed on that? So the proposal is for that to be funded out of the contingency. Correct?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, and the funds come out of contingency.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 3-0. Next up, we have consideration of request for memorandum of understanding with the Georgia Emergency Management Agency concerning new grants management system. Chief Thompson brought that to your attention. That's how we fill out the grant now, and that's the only way you can get it. So that kind of leaves very little option.
No brainer.
So do I have a motion?
To approve.
Motion by Commissioner Nix.
She beat me to it. That's not fair. Okay,
You can second it then.
you go ahead.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
Need one more.
Ms. Tron,
There we go.
And that's approved 3-0. Next up, we have consideration of IFB number 332-19, construction services for the Senior Services Center Community Development Block Grant. David brought that to our attention 2 weeks ago. As you're well aware, we received a grant for $750,000. We also received a donation for $900,000+ for the construction of a new senior center. Got a bid in on that. We have a company that David has recommended from all the bids that we got. The bid did come in above the amount of money that we have, around $500,000 originally. There was discussion on the board about going back to the metal roof, putting the awning up, and buying some furniture, which tabulates to what, David, 600 and...
Mr. Chairman, the total overage, including the two items you stated, the awning, which is not in Diversified's contract, that is a separate contract that staff will go out and bid separately. The furniture, which is estimated to roughly $60,000, that will also be a separate item that will come before the board. And then the other item that we did that was not stated was a $10,000 contingency fund. And a little over $2 million project, $10,000 is not a very big contingency. And that total was $666,556. And speaking with our finance staff, our recommendation is that we take that additional funds from general fund balance and keeping in mind that we will not need to utilize those funds till the last couple months of this project, and we will at the time, if it's decided to borrow, if there's over collections, if there's land sold, we'll be able to utilize different funds. For the sake of moving forward with this contract, we have to state where those funds are coming from. I'll also add that we need to, and we have not formally accepted the donation of $945,014.90. I've attempted to type, if it's the board's desire, a sample motion up, and I presented that to the chairman. So we need to also, as part of this motion, I would request that we formally accept those funds, just some cleanup of the files.
I thought we did do this.
I thought we did that.
Yeah,
When she brought the check.
Yeah.
We did that.
I do believe that we did them together, and that would have been spring of last year that we accepted those funds.
And the additional funds.
And the additional funds, you're right, we did them, we did them either separate or together, David. Is there a way we could, do you not think
Perhaps
we
we do
did?
again?
Sure.
Just to make sure.
Just double check.
Yeah, but I think we did, but we can do that. To make-
And I'm not qualified to speak whether we did or didn't, I'm merely passing information. However, I stand before you and request we do it again.
Now, what's the name of our company that's building this?
Diversified Construction of
Diversified
Georgia.
Construction, okay. Georgia, okay.
And that's a not to exceed amount, so there's still some items that we've gotten word as of recently as today that are under what this number is, so that's a not to exceed amount of $2,054,853.
As David stated, we do have options as we get closer to the end in reference to this additional money. All right, any other information needed from David? Motions?
Do we need to read this motion if we
You
agree with
can.
it? Okay, I'll do that. I make a motion to accept the bid submitted and negotiated and award a contract to Diversified Construction of Georgia not to exceed the amount of $2,054,853. This includes the addition of a $10,000 contingency and $75,000 for the addition of the metal roof for IFB number 332-19. I also move to accept and utilize the donation in the amount of $945,014.90 and approve the use of $100,000 for the awning and furniture for the new senior center. Funding shall be approved from the donation fund, the CDBG funds, and the remainder $686,556 from general fund balance, fund balance. That's my motion.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Satterfield, discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
One more.
And that's approved 3-0. Next up, we have consideration of 2019 county surplus list. Shannon brought that to you a couple of weeks ago. I sent Shannon home because his wife was expecting. So he's not here. I haven't heard anything else. He's not here to ask any further questions, but he did tell me that that included the leftover stuff, or wanted to include the leftover stuff from the old Dollar General thing, I guess it was, the metal part of that, and an additional car that the Sheriff's Department has that is junk and not fixable. And then there was one other item, David, do you remember exactly what the other, oh, it was air conditioners. It was air conditioners that wasn't on the original list that you had seen, but the original list plus those 3 additional items, he had requested that they be surplused. Any other information needed? Motions?
Make a motion to approve the 2019 county surplus list with additional 3 items as stated by the chairman.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Satterfield, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fawcett, discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 3-0. Next up, we have consideration of annexation number C2-00024. Council.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the item on the agenda related to this annexation involves 32 acres of property located at 1000 Cleve White Road in Dawson County, Georgia. The application has been put forward actually by the city of Dawsonville. The property is owned by the city of Dawsonville and is currently functioning as a city well site. They're proposing to annex it into the city, and it would be rezoned to their zoning category known as institutional for the continued use of the city well site. Staff has done its analysis in terms of any land use objection, and because it is a continuation of the existing use with no intentional representation of any additional density, there's no criteria that's met with respect to any land use objection. And do you have anything to add, Jameson, to that piece of it? Because staff reviewed that
The
side.
only thing I might add is if you try to look this up, this parcel, it has not made it through our tax assessor's website yet. So it looks like it's a portion of a larger tract, but it has been split off and it does meet all the criteria for annexation.
Yes, we reviewed it for the legal issues with respect to the property description, the contiguity, incorporated island prohibitions, and all those things, and it does meet all the criteria in that respect, and does not rise to the level of the land use objection. So really, we're just presenting it for your information and for public knowledge, because with an annexation, we don't have much to say about it anyhow, and in this instance, there's really no applicable legal objection. but
We
just
have
for
no
information.
objection, so we don't do anything.
No need for action, just information.
No need to vote because we have no objection to it.
Is there any limit to how far city limits can reach out?
Not
I'm
really.
afraid it's gonna be up there at my house, and I don't want it.
Yeah, as long as it's contiguous, there's some rules about the
Oh, my
contiguity, it's supposed to be a
goodness,
majority
will
by
it keep
50 feet, but, as long as it adjoins.
Dawson County's gonna be all Dawsonville. This is crazy.
All right.
Thank you.
We're
Thank you,
getting
ma'am.
unruly.
No public comment?
No, sir, but
One
you
added.
do need to consider the legacy link.
Oh, yeah. Me,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, yeah.
That's right.
That one you
That's
added.
number 7. All right, let's see.
Yes, thank you.
Stay.
FY 2020 Legacy Link Contract Nutrition Program Services, Addendum 1. This is a $8,000 plus gift for the county. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett, seconded by Commissioner Nix. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
Don't, your mouth's cut off.
You're not gonna give me any more money.
And that is approved 3-0. Now we have no public comment in this section, and we are adjourned. Thank you,
The
Chris.
lights haven't gone out yet.
I think it's 9:30.
9:30?
Chairman, you may get the